Okay, here it is. So we're waiting for the time. Welcome to our session, Return Ticket from SQL Managed Instance to SQL Server. I'm so pleased to see in such a great number. Who are we? I'm Danny. I've been with the SQL Managed Instance product group since day one of the service. I've been working for the past couple of years on the MI Link feature, and my colleague George.
Yeah, I've been with the service for the last almost 4 years, first as an engineer, and then I joined the PM team, and now I'm working with my colleague Danny, focusing mostly on data mobility.
Some of our other sessions, so obviously Thursday and we're half the Friday, so the next session we're going to have, if you're interested, the advancing role of DBA in the cloud. We're going to talk about how an on-prem DB, what challenges and new opportunities face in the cloud, a little bit of Fabric, and tomorrow meet the product group at the Experts Lounge, 11:30. You can meet our entire team. There's 6 of us at SQL Bits this year, so please do feel free to attend our other sessions. So what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about MI Link feature for managed instance. We're going to have 2 demos of replicating those databases from SQL Server to managed instance using our favorite tool, SMS. We're going to do a DR drill. We're going to do a failover back and forth from on-prem SQL Server to the cloud and back, hence the reverse ticket. And then we're going to talk about how to minimize the application downtime after the failover. So as an introduction, before we dive into the demos, just one slide, and then we'll talk through the demos. These are the capabilities of MI Link. So the basic capability is online real-time replication of databases from SQL Server to managed instance. SQL Server 2016 and above are supported. And that's because of the technology capabilities, because we leverage distributed availability groups, and that was available in 2016 and above, hence the limitation. A bit of a change in terms of the on-prem capabilities. We have also enabled Standard Edition, Enterprise, and Developer Edition to use this capability. And this enables you to replicate your databases to MI, and you can use them as read-only on MI. Any commits made on the primary SQL Server are then transported to MI. This is essentially gives you the way to use Azure without migrating to Azure, but then if you want to migrate to Azure, just a short failover, and it's probably the best possible minimum downtime migration. Now, with the SQL Server 2022, we have a new capability because managed instance is SQL Server 2022 compatible. You can now take the backups from managed instance, restore them back to SQL Server, and you can also now do the reverse failover. So unlike the previous SQL Server versions, with SQL Server, you can make the link from SQL Server 2022 to managed instance and failover back. And a completely new capability, which we have now introduced, is also the capability to create the link other way from managed instance to SQL Server. So let's say you have already migrated to the cloud, or let's say you need to get your data back on SQL Server 2022, so you can now make the link from the cloud back to SQL Server. It's also useful for compliance reasons. Some companies cannot adopt the cloud or use the cloud if they cannot show that they can export the data back. Of course, you can do it manually through backup and restore, but this always-on capability gives a nice and easy way to basically be up to date all the time and then just have everything replicated in real time. Without further ado, that's the introduction. I will leave the stage to my colleague George, who will show you through the demos, and then at the end, I hope we'll have a couple of minutes for some questions. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Danny. And let's jump on the demo train. And in this first demo, we will show the first core capability. Let me just test if this laser pointer works. Let us demonstrate how we can do a replication from SQL Server that is hosted anywhere and SQL MI. This is actually, and we have them in SSMS 20. So in order to, like here, we have pre-populated, so we have basically 2 windows pre-populated with some simple T-SQL queries that will help us do this demo. And what we're going to do first, we're going to create a very simple database with a simple table just for the purpose of demonstrating this core capability of replication. And the database that we created, it is this database. So to initiate, one of the requirements of this feature is that the database to be replicated needs to be in the full recovery mode. So first we'll take a full backup. This is just a requirement for proceeding further, and that's what just happened on the screen. Now we want to initiate replication via link, and we can initiate it either by right-clicking on the database itself, or, which is a new capability, we have actually added a new right-click menu entry on always on high availability in Object Explorer. The wizard we created starts. Here we enter link name. We do some precondition checks, which basically go through all the requirements and assess whether your SQL Server is ready for application. Here you select a database. So you can, here if there is a multiple databases here, available for application, you can select multiple. In this demo, we will only replicate a single database. And in the next step, we need to specify the target of our application, and that will be this managed instance that is already there. Now we'll do some validation of the steps that are going to be executed in the wizard. And click on next, and these are actually the steps that this wizard will execute in the background in order to create the link. What is very useful feature, which is going to be shown right about now, is that you can click on this script button here, and this will generate a script of all commands that SSMS is going to execute in the background, which is useful if you wish to create your own script and build on top of it further. And this has been sped up. And so what happened in the background? So once the link is created, please note that we can see some many items under always on high availability. We can see that some AG has been created on SQL Server. We see a DAG there as well. The wizard have created some default names for them, so you didn't have to do that yourself. And here we can see also that on the MI, we have a new entry under always on high availability and availability groups. And this is actually also one way to verify that your SQL Server, more specifically AG created on SQL Server, is in primary role, while if you expand this DAG on SQL MI, you will see that it is in the secondary role. And let's see that this replication works indeed. So we're going to enter some data into this database. Yes, so we'll add some messages in this database here, and they have been written on the SQL Server side. And here, yes, with a timestamp, our simple table that has been written on SQL Server. And you can see that this data has been replicated to SQL MI. Of course, real application will do much more write workload. This is just a simple way to demonstrate that this link works, and this replication from SQL Server to SQL MI on this database works actually over MLink. And that concludes the first demo. Okay, let's continue our demo train. So this is the R drill that Danny introduced previously. So this demo starts basically where the previous demo actually finished. Let me just hit the right button. So here again, Object Explorer, we have SQL Server here, we have SQL MI here. We're still in SSMS. Here you can see that we have AG and DAG created for this link. And yes, we have previously established a replication via link from SQL Server on this sample database MILink test.db, and we see that the secondary replica of this database is now on SQL MI. And yeah, we can first let's see what we currently have in our database. It is empty for now. I emptied it actually in between and added some data just to demonstrate that this replication works. That's a replication from SQL Server to SQL MI. And what we wish to do now is to initiate a disaster recovery drill. So typically when you want to do a drill, you wish to do planned manual failover because both your SQL Server and SQL MI are available, and planned failover guarantees that there will be no data loss. So the wizard supports forced failover as well, but for the purpose of this demo, we're going to use planned manual failover. And you can see here that you can initiate it by right-clicking on this DAG associated with this link. On either side, by the way, both here or here. And here you choose planned manual failover. Here you can see some information about the current link role. Here you will ensure that you're logged into Azure, and you also need to sign in to Managed Instance, because both SQL Server and Managed Instance need to be available at the time of execution. We log in there. In this step, we ensure that link is to be kept. And this basically the step that distinguishes database migration, where we do a cutover of the link, and the actual failover, where we keep the link, but we reverse the replication flow. Then we confirm our choices. There's really a few steps that need to be executed. And here as well, you can use this button script, which will generate a script of everything that's going to happen like in the query window, which you can copy in your own script. It's rather fast, and here you can see that something changed. So now you see that this AG on the SQL Server changed the role to secondary, and here you can see that the AG created on MI switched its role to primary. And this is as expected with the failover, and this is this new capability that is currently in open public preview. And demo is a bit slower, but now let's see actually what impact does it have. So now this window is attached to MI, which is now in primary role, so we should be able to change data in our database on the MI, so you can see that it's writable now. Previously it was read-only, and we can see an entry there saying that some data was written on SQL MI. And now if you look at this table content on SQL Server, we see that this data has been successfully replicated from SQL MI to SQL Server. And this is one part of the disaster recovery drill. We want to go back. Typically, we want our primary workload to be on SQL Server. So this is been sped up. I ran the very same wizard. To reverse the roles again. And here you can see that the roles have been reinstated in the original state. So MI is now in the secondary role. AG on DAG replica, AG on SQL Server is in primary role again. And we can again do a simple write-read test on either side to verify that the replication is going from SQL Server to SQL MI, which will probably appear in a second. And that basically demonstrates this new capability that enables disaster recovery drill and disaster recovering using link feature. And finally, this is the last demo we have for today. And this is basically the demo that also illustrates a new capability of creating a link from SQL MI to SQL Server. This is supported only for SQL Server 2022. For the simplicity of this demo, in this demo, we are creating a simple database on this side as well. Just to make it very simple, without going into reasons, I will turn the encryption off. This is supported case, but just simplifies my demo if I turn off the encryption of the database, which is by default on SQL MI. And now I have created a simple database on SQL MI. And let's see how we can establish a link to SQL Server, we again right-click on either the database here or on this always-on high availability menu in Object Explorer, and we will take this path. The experience, the most important thing is that that this wizard provides unified experience no matter direction you're creating the link. So regardless of whether you create a link from SQL Server or from SQL MI, look and feel in this wizard and the steps are identical. And here we're also going through some requirement checks. We will select one or more databases that we can replicate. Here, in the next step, we will, this database will be selected. We will specify secondary replica. This time, secondary replica will be on SQL Server 2022 and will be required to log in to SQL Server. Yep, that has been successful. We need to confirm once again the wizard will do some additional checks here to ensure that this link creation will actually succeed. All requirements are met, and we then proceed to the last step, which summarizes the steps that this wizard will execute, also with this convenience with a script that you can generate for your own purposes or for reference. And then we click on Finish. This will kickstart the wizard in a few seconds. I was talking too fast. Fast forward. Yep, that's it. And then also, in the similar way as previously, you can ensure that now, like here, see that the AG that has been created on MI is in primary role because we created the link from SQL MI to SQL Server. Here, in a bit, we will see that the AG on SQL Server is this is again catching up with my talk, and in a similar way we can ensure that the local link roles are indeed such that secondary is on SQL Server and SQL MI has the primary replica. And just to kind of conclude this demonstration, we will also do some simple write operation on the SQL MI side to insert the data and to verify that this data is near real-time replicated. So this is a very simple example, but the whole point is that in practice you'll have some application that will be doing actual transactions that change the database content, and all those changes will be replicated in near real-time to SQL Server in this case. And I believe this completes the final demo. Yes, I think so.
Yeah, we have 2 more minutes.
Okay, and let's just very briefly address some things. So those of you familiar with listeners on always-on groups and on read-write listeners on failover groups in SQL MI might be wondering, do we provide similar functionality for MI links? So when you do migration or you do disaster recovery drill, how to make your application now work with the new primary replica that is on SQL Server and SQL MI. So although we do not provide anything service provided on the box, one way how to can accomplish this by using this listener endpoint, basically there is a nice article here that you can read in detail, but basically to avoid application repointing, you can create a DNS alias which can be resolved either to your on-prem replica or to your SQL MI replica. So basically, when you initiate a failover, you will also initiate the swap in your DNS records, and then your application need not be repointed explicitly because now it will be resolved to your current primary. And this completes, this is basically situation before failover, and after failover, say we switch. So the same domain alias resolves to a new primary. And that's the end of the presentation. Now,
so
if you have any questions.
We have like a minute or so. Let's take some questions. Go ahead,
yes.
sir.
Yeah, so
maybe repeat the question.
Yes, so the question was, do we need to pay for a license on the actually SQL MI if we're using it for DR? There is a benefit called hybrid failover rights, which entitles you, and this is not specific to MI link feature, that if you're using your SQL MI as a passive replica, then so only for purpose of doing disaster recovery and of course drill and some predefined operations, but say not read-only workload, then you're entitled to apply that benefit, which will effectively eliminate the SQL license cost on SQL MI that you're using.
So for secondary, if it's passive. Yes, sir.
Sir. To simplify...
So to repeat the question for the audience online, so why did we turn off the TD in the demo?
We turned off the TD simply to simplify the demo. So if you have a TD encrypted database, then you also need to ensure that that TD key is available on SQL Server as well. And that can be done by configuring a SQL Server to actually install, so like extended key management that can connect to the key vault where your key is. So that is a supported scenario, but since I didn't want to do that in the demo, I just turned off the encryption, so I skip additional configuration step.
Yeah. More details are available if you search link feature for managed instance. It's documented how to actually transport the TD keys.
Yes.
Yes, sir. No. No, that's not supported. So if the question is upon the failover, if the distribution, if there's transaction replication used, is being failover automatically, it is not. That's something that you'll need to take care of additionally. I think we're out of time, but maybe just one more question, gentlemen, at the back at the end. Okay, so the question is, if the SQL Server is standard, do we require an enterprise license for it? The answer is no. This is something that we specifically did for the MI link feature. By the way, every managed instance has an enterprise license built in. So on premises, you can have a standard edition of the SQL Server, and you can replicate to managed instance without any additional costs. And again, if your secondary MI is passive, then you click a button that you use the benefit, and the license will be free, so it would have it discounted. Passive meaning you're not using it for read-only workload.
Yeah, so the capability is supported on the standard license as well on-prem.
So this is something we specifically did for MI link as an exception to the whole standard enterprise concept. We're out of time, but we'd be happy to take your questions offline. Thank you. Thank you.